Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be continuing with what we were just doing. We are still going to be dividing using an area model, but today we're going to have two-digit divisors. Okay, so our objective today I will divide two-digit divisors using an area model. Okay, so here's our new part of today is we're still using our area model, but these new two-digit divisors are kind of the game changer. They're going to make our problems a little trickier, and they're going to even make us have to maybe do some side work. If we look at our vocabulary though, we have the same vocabulary. They remind us of our words dividend, divisor, and quotient. I'm going to add, remember our in and out strategy there. They remind us of what the area model looks like and then what a partial quotient is. Here's our partial quotients that we add up to get our final quotient. And then our steps are really the same. But remember, we said that this is way too much for you ever to memorize, so you're just going to have to kind of understand the steps and memorize the steps, but not the words of the steps. So I'm going to get started, ladies and gentlemen, with my first problem. If you just want to watch closely and see if you can see how it's very similar to what you did yesterday. Okay, my first step is I'm going to draw my rectangle. And I'm going to put my divisor on top, and my divisor is 30 because remember my in and out, and I'm going to set it up. And we said the divid in goes inside and my divisor is outside. Okay, so now I'm ready to get started. Okay, and I'm going to ask myself, how many times does 30 fit into 6? 30 does not fit into 6. How many times does 30 fit into 60? And remember, I want to get as close to it without going over. Well, 1 30 is 30. 2 30s would be 60. That's really close. So I'm going to say it's 2. But it's not 2 because I have these two digits over here. So it's really 200. It's really 200. Okay, so now let's multiply this. I get 3 times 2 is 6. And how many zeros am I going to add? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's take this and subtract it. I get 0, 4, and 2. Okay, this is where this is going to get tricky. How many can 30 go into 2? No. Can 30 go into 24? No. Can 30 go into 240? Yes. 30 can fit into 240. So this, you might have to do some side work to figure it out. Or if you could count by 30s. I know, if I was thinking about it, I know that if I could count kind of by 30s, I could even list them here. I could say 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. Notice knowing my 3 times tables is helping me. 180, 210, and 240. So I kind of listed them using that. So how many were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think it's 8. And it's just going to be 8 because I have no extra digits. So what's 3 times 8? Well, 3 times 8 is 24. And how many zeros am I going to add? 1 there and none there, so just 1. And I'm done. So I only have 2 this time. I only have 2. Only 2 partial quotients. So I have 200 plus 8 equals 208, and that is my final quotient. So notice it was a little trickier just because because this is a double digit or a 2-digit number, I can't use my basic facts as much to help me. Okay, let's look at my next one. I'm going to start with my same step 1 and my same step 2. And they already wrote it over here in standard form. I'm still going to write it over here because they wrote it too small. That's not going to help me. I need it a little larger that I can work with. Okay, so I'm going to get started. And I say, can 15 fit into 8? No. Can 15 fit into 87? It can, and this is another one. So how are you going to figure that out? Can you count by 15s? Could you make a list like I did? I might come over here and make another list. I know 15. If I add another 15, I get 30. 30 plus 15 is 45. 45 plus 15 is 60. 60 plus 15 would be 75. And then if I add 50 to that, I get 90. That's too big. So how many could I go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can fit in 5 times. Okay, but is it going to be 5? No, it's going to be 500 because I had this 2 spots there. So let's see, 15 times 5, I said, was 75, and I'm going to add 1, 2 zeros. Okay, so what do we have? Let's subtract that, and I get 1,260. And I have my first partial quotient. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Can 15 fit into 1? Nope. Can 15 fit into 12? Nope. Can 15 fit into 126? Yes. How many times? Well, if I already started this, I could just continue this. What would happen if I added 15 to 90? Well, if I add 10, I get 100, and then 5 would be 105. What happens if I add another 15? I'd get 120. Oh, I got really close. So how many of those are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was 8 15s. But it's not going to be 8 because I have this digit over here. So it's really going to be 80. Okay, so I have my next partial quotients, 80. 15 times 8 was 120 because I got it here. And then I'm going to add 1 extra 0. So I get 1,206. I'm sorry, 1,200. I apologize, friends. It's right here. When I subtract, I get 60. Okay, then I ask myself, can 15 fit into 6? No. Can 15 fit into 60? Yes. And how many times? Well, I could use this to help me. It fits in 4 times. And it's just 4 because there's no extra digits. And 15 times 4 is 60. So when we subtract that, we get 0. Okay, so here's our partial quotients. Let's add those. 584, and I get 584 is my answer. Okay, and if we had added these up just like before, we would get 8,760. Because what we did is we took our dividend and we broke it up. Okay, so these are a little bit more work because I probably need to do some side work if I don't know these in my head, which I don't even know them in my head. Okay, so let's try one together. Here is our first one that we're going to work on. It's on page 172. Okay, and step 1 says we are going to draw our box, and step 2 says we're going to put our dividend on top. And I know that's my dividend because it's inside. I know that's my dividend because it's inside. Okay, so now I'm ready to get started. Okay, can 30 fit into 1? No. Can 30 fit into 14? Nope. Can 30 fit into 141? Yes. How many times? Well, because this isn't a single digit, I can't use basic facts. So I might come over here and kind of list them. I know 30. If I have two 30s, I get 60. What if I add another 30? I would have 90. What's 90 plus another 30? Well, 90 plus 10 is 100, and plus 20 would be 120. What if I add another 30? I get 150. That's too big. So I'm going to stop here. So how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's not really 4 because it have a digit after. So it's really 4D. Okay, so what does this equal? 3 times 4 is 12. And how many zeros are we going to add? 1, 2. Okay, so 30 times 40 is 1,200. All right, ready? Let's subtract that. And we get 210. Okay, so we're going to keep going. 30 can fit into 2? No. 30 can fit into 21? No. 30 can fit into 210? Yes, but how many times? Well, we started this, but we didn't go far enough. So if I add another 30 to 150, what do we have? 180? And if I add another 30 to that, well, 20 would be 200, so 30 would be 210, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 30 can fit into 210 7 times, and it's just a 7 because I have no extra digits. So 3 times 7 is 21 with 1 extra 0. Okay, and when I subtract that, I am left with 0, which is what I want. Okay, so here's my partial quotients. 40 plus 7 equals 47, and that is our answer. Okay, let's look at one more together. Again, if you don't have this down, this is a good time to pause the video to make sure you have a good example down. Okay, so step 1, we're going to draw our box. In step 2, we're going to put our divisor on top. Now, I can't work this little, so I'm going to move it over here where I can write a little larger. Okay, so I'm going to ask myself, can 23 fit into 3? No. Can 23 fit into 38? Yes. How many times? Isn't it just going to be 1? Because 2 20s would be 40, so that'd be too much. So I know it's 1, but it's not just a 1 because there's these 1, 2 digits, so it's actually 100. Okay, so what do we get when we multiply? 23 times 1 is 23 plus 1, 2 zeros. Okay, so let's subtract that. And I am getting 1,557. Okay, 23 cannot fit into 1. 23 cannot fit into 15. 23 can fit into 155. How many times though? I don't know. Well, I know 4 25s equals 100. I could use that strategy. I'm thinking it's maybe 6. I might come over here and do some side work, and this time I might do different side work. I might actually use multiplication and check 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 1 is 138. I got pretty close. I wonder if I can get closer. 6 is still, I'm not super close. Let's try 7. Let's see what happens when we multiply by 7. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 2 is 16. Oh, I went too big. So it has to be 6, because 7 was too big. Okay, so it's 6, but it's not going to be a 6 because there's this digit, so it's really going to be 6D. Okay, ready? 23 times 6, I just said was 138. And I'm going to add that one extra 0. Okay, so let's subtract that. I get 7. Let's borrow. 15 take away 8 is 7. And 4 take away 3 is 1. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. 23 cannot fit into 1. 23 cannot fit into 17. 23 can fit into 177. How many times? Well, look at what it was 6. Look what 7 was. I'm thinking it might, maybe we should try 8. Should we try 8, friends? Do we even have room to try 8? Do we even have room to try that? I'm wondering if Miss Munoz even made a mistake. We'll have to check that and see. Okay, so let's see where we're at right now. So we're checking 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So let's put our 4 and carry our 2. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 2 more would be 18. So let's write that. So that's way too big. So I'm guessing it has to then be the 7, because otherwise we would have had, it'd be too big if we went ahead of it. It'd be too big to go any more than that. So we know it has to be the 7. Okay, so let's look at that. Okay, now when we do the 7, we already figured out what 23 times 7 was. It's right here. And there's not going to be any extra 0. So 23 times 7 is 161. Okay, 23 times 7 is 161. Okay, now let's see. If I did that, I'm going to end up with a remainder, which we have not had remainders, friends. So that tells me that I might have made a mistake. That would tell me that we might want to go back and make sure that we don't have a mistake here to see if something went wrong. So I might stop and pause, and then I would try it one more time. So let's see if we could do this, and we're going to see if Miss Munoz made the mistake, or we're going to see if Swan made the mistake. So ready? You might want to pause the video and get a scratch paper and see. I have one already ready to go. So I'm going to set up my problem, and my problem is with my 23, and over here I have 23, and my dividend is 3,887. Now we already said, this one will go faster because we already said that 23 doesn't fit into 3, but it does fit into 38 one time, but we actually said it's going to be 100. And then we said 23 times 1 is 23 plus 2 zeros. Okay, friends, is it looking like so far have you caught a mistake that we made? Have we caught a mistake? I caught a mistake. Look where, pause and see if you found where Miss Munoz made her original mistake. I found it right here. When I went to write this, look what I wrote, friends. I wrote that. Boy, even with being a grown-up, I made a silly mistake. I hope if you're taking a test and you mess up as bad as I just messed up, that you'll catch it and take the time to redo it. Okay, so I'm glad that we're redoing this and fixing it so we don't have the wrong answer. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. So now I can say 23 can't fit into 1, it can't fit into 15, but it can fit into 158. And here's the nice thing, friends, is I can use all this old scratch work. I already know that 23 times 7 is 161. That was too big, but I know that 23 times 6 works. So it's not going to be 6 though, because this extra digit, it's going to be 6D. So 23 times 6 is 138, and add my 0, I get 1,380. Okay, ready? I'm thinking we're on better track this time. I'm thinking it's looking a little better. Okay, 23 can't fit into 2. It can't fit into 20, but it can fit into 207. Let's look at our scratch work. We did 6 and we got 138. We did 7 and got 161. We did 8 and got 184. We want to get to 207. So if 8 was only 184, should we maybe try 9? Should we come over here and see what 23 times 9 is? I bet it's going to work. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 2. Look at that, friends. It works perfectly. Absolutely perfectly is 9. So 9 times 23 is 207. This is looking much better because I know that we're not doing remainders right now, so I knew that was my clue that I made a big mistake. Now that I got a 0, I know I probably am on track. So let's add my partial quotients. 100 plus 60 plus 9, and I'm getting 169. And it was not Swan who made the mistake. It was Miss Munoz who made the mistake. I'm sorry about that, friends. Okay, I hope you're feeling better than I am since I messed up, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.